So, your chapter is framed as a practical guide, what AI can do for you. Where do you see the greatest opportunity for AI to enhance the effectiveness of knowledge management teams?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's scary. It's a scary time. It's a little bit bewildering because things are moving so fast. But it's also an exciting time, and there are lots of opportunities. But I think a lot of people are struggling, and that was very much the theme of my chapter. A lot of people are struggling with, well, how should I be using this? I sort of, maybe they've figured out how to use it for personal tasks, but they haven't thought about how can they use it in their professions and their business lives. And so that's really what the chapter is trying to help with, to provide a model for analyzing that. So maybe if I give a couple of examples, I think for me the most obvious area to start is what I call routine but necessary work. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that it's stuff that's not adding any value. So if you can automate it or get it done by the technology, then there's no argument against that. Um, and because it's usually at the relatively straightforward end, you don't have to worry too much about some of the issues and challenges that we know about. So from a KM perspective, one of the things I've spent quite a lot of my career trying to do well manually is profiling know-how. So capturing metadata about a document that describes the document and what's in it. It's a very laborious process. Actually, it's quite technical. So some aspects of it, you do need quite a bit of expertise, but it's done, has to be done regularly. If you want a big collection, you have to do it in high volume, and it's really tedious and hard to do. If you think about a similar example from a lawyer's perspective, one that springs to mind is reviewing an agreement or a document to see what changes have been made. And I like this example because people might say, well, text comparison tools have been around for decades, which is true, but the AI tools allow you to do not just a textual comparison, but a semantic comparison. So it can pick up not just whether the words have changed, but whether the meaning, whether the impact has changed. And I think just to come back to, I touched on this point about hallucinations and some of the challenges that have been well publicized around that. I think a lot of people are nervous about using it for these sort of technical tasks, which involve, some element of legal expertise, because they worry about the reliability of the output. I'm fairly relaxed about that for a couple of reasons. The first is that I think objectively there are many instances where the technology already today is better and certainly more consistent than the output of most juniors. People don't like to hear that, but I think often when they say, "Oh, well, it's only 98% reliable," they are assuming that the output of all humans is 100% reliable, and we just know that isn't the case. So I actually think if you look at it objectively, certainly from a consistency perspective, and in many cases also from an accuracy and reliability perspective, the technology is better today. But I think more importantly than that, you've got also the safety net, because the output is always going to be, or at least should always be, checked by professionals. That may not always be the case, but it's certainly the case today. So if there were to be an instance of hallucination, then you should pick that up when you do your review. And if you think about it, junior people have been hallucinating for some time. We call it mistakes. They make mistakes, and then a more experienced person reviews the work and checks it and picks up the mistakes. So I don't see it really as any different from that.